What's up, everybody? My name is Paul, and I wanted to share with you that I've never been happier making an income. And I'm just leaving Home Depot right now. And the reason I'm saying this, that I've never been happier making an income, is that I've always worked for someone. I've always worked for somebody. I worked for some company. I worked, in a job that I did office work for about 3 years. Then I did manual labor. I did construction. I did a lot of different things. But it was always, I always felt like I'm working for someone else and I'm making their dreams come true. And I'm just basically working to have enough money for my bills. And that's pretty much what it came down to, because by the end of the month, my bills, yes, were paid, but I had no money to save, no money to invest, no money to kind of set up a better future for me, for my wife, for my children, nothing. So I worked in the field of, in the industry of countertop installation, fabrication, estimating jobs, and things like that. Now, I've worked in that industry for about, I would want to say 10 to 12 years total. I did gain a lot of experience because I came into the first company I worked for, there was 2 of them, as a helper. So I knew nothing. So I went in as a helper, learned the basics. And then, of course, as I knew more, I became a crew leader on an installation crew for about, I would want to say 4 to 5 years. And within that time, the company that I worked for, the owner was not the most honest person. So we came in one day to work on a Monday, and we found out that the company was closed. The guy supposedly took a lot of deposits from people and just disappeared. So I was out of work. But since I've been doing it for 5, almost 6 years at that time, I enjoyed working with my friends in that company. Made some friends, had close relationships with people. And I was kind of looking for similar work, but I wasn't able to find anything. Within a 6-month period, a friend of mine reached out to me, which worked for a similar company during very high-end work. So the first company I worked for just did normal kitchens, nothing fancy, just basic stuff. Guy probably did 15 to 20 kitchens a week. The other company that my friend worked for did very high-end work in a lot of wealthy neighborhoods. Probably done 5 to 6 jobs a week, but still made a lot more money than the other guy doing 15, 20 kitchens. So I went in for an interview and I found out that they're not looking for anybody to install. They're not looking for anybody to fabricate. But I was asked about my, I lost my track of thought. I was asked about my technical skills, my computer skills and things like that. And I've always been great with computers. I built my computers. I designed websites for people on occasion. Not many, but I've done that in WordPress. I taught that to myself. I never went to school for it or anything. So I said I'm good with computers. I did some video editing because I started a YouTube channel before, commenting on sports and things like that. So he was like, okay, I need somebody to work in CAD to create drawings and programs for a CNC machine that's going to cut out the countertops. So I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. And he told me if I do that if I'm able to draw a full kitchen out of the file that he provides to me that was digitally measured, and it was going to be correct within 2 weeks of starting to learn this stuff, he was going to raise my pay to a certain amount that we pre-agreed with, that I have to have in my pocket, and I told him by the end of the week, to pay my bills and be pretty comfortable. Not crazy, but pretty comfortable. So those 2 weeks passed. I learned that stuff a lot quicker than he anticipated. He didn't think I'm going to learn it as fast as I did. He did raise my pay, but my pay was raised to the amount we agreed with before the taxes came out. So after the taxes came out, I still was left screwed. And I was screwed because I told the owner of that company, listen, this is how much I have to have after taxes. And he raised it, but he raised it to, like I said, before taxes. So I still wasn't making the amount of money that I wanted to. I saw him build the company through the next 5 years I was working there. I saw him, change a house, buy a beautiful house, provide for his family, go on vacations overseas and stuff like that, and live a great life and better and better and better. Meanwhile, me, as before, I was working, paying my bills, and barely had anything. And then I had 2 kids coming because my wife was pregnant with twins, and it was just putting a lot of pressure on me. So we decided, we made a decision to move from one state to another. So we moved from New York to Texas. A lot of it had to do, we didn't want to raise our children in New York. A lot of it had to do with the cost of living, things being a lot cheaper, houses being a lot cheaper in Texas and everything else. So we moved to Texas. I've been in Texas now for over 5 years. I love living in Texas. I love Texas, and I am super happy we made that jump. But up to that time, to the move, I always worked for someone. So I worked office work, I worked, like I said, manual jobs, and then the stone installation and fabrication and estimating and CAD work and project management and stuff like that. But in that industry, I pretty much went from the bottom all the way to as high as I could go, project management and things like that. And then the next step would be, pretty much ownership, I believe. So that's what happened. So I had the experience on every level of that. And when I moved to Texas, I promised myself I will never work for anybody else again. We've had some money saved up. We were a little bit lucky with the rental for the house because we didn't know where we want to live, so we rented a house. We were a little bit lucky. We found a great landlord, great price, and we've been living in that house since then. Probably going to start looking for a new home for our own next year because business is going good and everything is going great. So it took me about, I'd want to say 2 years to be able to make enough money out of my business, which was stone related, but it wasn't installation fabrication. It took me about 2 years to start making enough money where I was able to pay my bills and then start to invest a little bit from that. So I didn't have to use my savings or anything like that anymore. And after that, the 3rd year, the 4th year, now we're after the 5th year, every single year has been getting exponentially better and better and better. But I've been putting a lot of work into that business. I've been working on, doing great work because I'm responsible for all of it. I'm starting to get a lot of recommendations and clients coming back to me that I've done jobs for before. And companies are, recommending me that I've never even worked for. So the word about my company and my services has been spreading throughout where I live, and the business has been growing. But I started a business that had such low overhead that I don't need a shop. I don't need a crew. I'm working by myself right now. Maybe I'll hire a guy or two a little bit later down the line within the next maybe 2 years or so, when my business expands enough where I can't keep up with the services by myself. And I've been very happy doing it. I do what I like to do. I do what I have experience in doing. I'm good with talking to clients. I'm good with pricing jobs. I've told myself I will never compete with other companies doing similar stuff price-wise. I will price my services as premium. So my prices, if you took 10 companies doing the same thing, my pricing for the same services would probably be, if one is the lowest pricing and 10 is the highest pricing, I would probably be in somewhere in the range of 7, 8, sometimes 9. So I'm always one of the highest prices, but I also am very communicative. You can reach me anytime. Customer service, as well as I can have it, it's there. I'm punctual. If I tell you I'm going to be there a certain day at a certain time, I'm there. I'm letting you know what's going on. I'm asking all these questions. I'm giving you accurate quotes. If you have questions, you could ask me as many questions as you want. I'll explain everything in detail. I'm always honest. I don't overpromise, but I always try to overdeliver. That's my approach to my business, and my business has been growing very, very well. I cannot complain. So, making the long story short, within those 5 years, now I am super happy making the money that I'm making. I'm doing stuff that I like doing. I don't have heavy labor work anymore. I don't carry stone. I can provide for my family. I can invest in 2 separate portfolios. One is a little bit more risky. One is a little bit more safe and dividend centered. And things just have started working out for me, where I think we're slowly moving into the upper middle class. And I'm happy because I have twin daughters, and I'll be able to provide for them a little bit of a better life than I originally thought I was going to be able to provide. And the business is growing. I'm also starting, I started a while ago, a side hustle, which is also bringing me some money. But the one true thing you have to understand, which people constantly complain about, is they love being an employee because they go to work at 7, 8, or 9 a.m. and they leave at 4 or 5 p.m. and they don't give a shit about anything else. They just go binge watch shows, go to the movies, go to a bar, go to sports events, games, whatever. And that's it for their life. But then they turn around and complain that they never have enough money for anything, and they can't provide for their family, and they're constantly stressed out. Yet they can't take a vacation. They can't do anything without asking their boss, and their boss will never let them do whatever they want when they want to do it because he wants them at work constantly and stuff like that. But I don't have that issue anymore. I have the least amount of stress making an income and making money that I've ever had in my life. I take a vacation when I want to. I take time off for my family whenever I need to. But I don't sleep till 9 and 10 a.m. I wake up every single day at 5:30, 6 a.m. I start work at about 9. Those 3 hours in the morning, I sit down, I have my coffee, I look things over, I work on my side hustle and things like that. When I come back home, whatever time that may be, and a lot of my days are shorter, I get back home at 1, 2, 3 p.m. and I make a very good income for that day. And then I go back home and I do some invoicing, I do some estimates, I respond to clients and things like that. No matter what time it would be, if a client calls me at 8 p.m., I pick up the damn phone. I don't pay for a cable service. I don't binge watch shows. I do everything I'm supposed to do to grow my business, to respond to clients, to be there on time, to do what I have to do before I do anything else that would give me, pleasure in a way, like watching a show or whatever. If you are able to make that kind of a sacrifice for you, for your family, for your future, and start a business in something that you have experience in over the years, you can really have an amazing low stress life. Take care of yourself, eat healthy food, don't eat junk food, because if you eat junk food, you feel like shit. That's what I'm also avoiding. I'm eating a lot of healthy food. I'm fasting. I'm on a good diet, drinking a lot of water, feeling great. Not a lot of sugar intake and all that. But that could be talked about in a different video. But I just wanted to share with you that starting a business made me free. It was stressful for the first 2 years, but I never quit on it. But it made me free. It made me have the least amount of stress I ever had supporting my family, supporting myself, and affording things. I am incredibly happy that I've made that decision, and I am never going back to working for anybody else again. So my suggestion is, don't quit your job. Figure out what you want to do, what you have experience in. Look into creating a business that has low overhead in that field, whether it be consulting, maintenance services, whatever. And go out and do it. Start doing it on the weekends. Create a website for yourself. Start advertising it, because it takes a while. And when you make it enough to almost cover your bills, quit your job and start doing it full time, and start putting, 5 times more time into growing that, and you're gonna be one happy person. Just wanted to share that story with y'all. Hopefully it resonates with someone and it helps someone. And I help you change your life and have a better one. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.